Hey everyone, welcome to this Fortnite VOD review. Today we're going to be looking at a full game played by Aimbot Ace, and I'm going to be analysing their gameplay to see what they do well and to see what they could improve on, so we can help them be better at the game. As you guys could see, when they dropped out of the bus, they were looking at where they wanted to land. They planned where they wanted to land, and in this area right here at 140, you can see them just trying to look around to find a gun, just so they have the advantage over opponents that are still trying to land. The player now just tries to heal up to make sure that they can start fighting and pushing onto the first few players. At the start of the game, you can see that Aimbot Ace has landed at Anvil Square. They start to quickly loot up and they start hopefully moving towards the first circle once they have looted up. One thing that the player is doing well at the moment is decision making. They are making sure that they're aware of their surroundings and at the moment just looting up, avoiding fights until they're confident enough to push. That would likely be when they're looted up and they got the guns that they want to use. After looting up, he does end up getting shot at. Aimbot Ace easily avoids the fight and rotates somewhere else. However, a few players were still in the building and below him, so he had to kill those off. However, what Aimbot Ace is trying to do is avoiding these early fights, because if he avoids these early fights, it means that he can have the opportunity to gain better resources and better loot and weapons, which will put him in a better position and have a higher chance of winning the game. As you can see, after Aimbot Ace killed that last player, he then started shooting at the NPCs, which are a collaboration of Star Wars in Chapter 4, Season 2. He then tries to avoid them. However, killing those are a good thing during this season because, you know, following the new loot pools and following all these new things that are added into the game does help you during the match. They do drop these new mythic Star Wars weapons which have infinite ammo, which really put Aimbot Ace in a better position in the game. Aimbot Ace decides to continue killing the boss. However, being in the open and making all this noise and racket, he does come across another player. However, he just kill them off. But at this point, Aimbot Ace is not playing smart, as he is being continuously involved in these fights, which he is trying to avoid. So what the player here has done is he's chosen a bounty which will help him play the game, as he will know where an enemy player is. He swaps to that rifle that he was shooting at to gain, and now in Chapter 4 there are new things. There are flags and you can take over these you can capture these flags, which will then provide you with better loot, better weapons, and also lots of healing. So as you can see here, the player is just trying to take over and capture the flag, which will put him in a better position in this game with a high chance of winning, as he will have better loot and better weapons to fight with. Aimbot Ace is now becoming desperate to get more kills, so he marks the most populated and most contested location on the map, which is Mega City, which currently this season in Chapter 4 Season 2 is the most contested and most popular location where players will land, loot up and fight. So as he is desperate for these kills and he's desperate to W key and push and rush players, he now makes his way over to this location. However, on his way he stumbles upon a llama. He also continues to loot up on his way, as this will all help him and put him in a better position in the game, as he will just continue to get mats, resources, heals and better weapons. The aimbot ace decides to turn his car around from going towards Mega City at a very contested location, as he can see a ping on the map. This ping happens to be a boss which does drop mythic weapons, which will help put him in a better position, as he will have better weapons to fight with. As you can now see, the ping is gone, which does indicate to aimbot ace that another player has killed the boss. This only means one thing for him: if he goes towards there will be other players there who have now killed the boss. Knowing this information, he now goes towards them because his main tactic is to W key and push other players. And as the game does progress into the mid game, aimbot ace encounters more players, which you can see at 7:26. He does not do a good job of building quickly, or he does not protect himself. However, he does take down the opponents efficiently and quickly, which does not result in him taking any damage. One thing that the player aimbot ace could improve on during his mid-game fights is his decision making. It seems that he just ends up wasting time looting and wandering around and not having a clear plan on what to do mid-game. He ends up prioritizing all these other things instead of getting these eliminations efficiently and quickly. He does do a good job of killing these players. However, he does not protect himself, he does not plan, and he's not having control of the fights that he should be having. Having no clue what to do and just wandering around. He does look at the top GUI of this Fortnite game where it does show meters, but he does have visual sound effects so he can see where the players are, how far away they are, and he decides to push this. However, he does receive a few shots from the other player. These tags result in him having to go rotate somewhere else so he can heal. He does continue to get pushed by these players. Without building or having good decision making, he puts himself in a really risky position, which does not help aimbot ace in this situation, as his play is not efficient and his play is not smart. In a panic, aimbot ace decides to get the high ground so he can get quick tags on the opponents. However, they do shoot his builds and he does drop down. In a panic, he tries to get up, but he doesn't put himself in a better position, as all these enemies decide to keep pushing him. He's only 94 health, and then more of the team are now around the other side. He is doing a solo squad, so it's going to be very hard for him to kill these opponents if he's not thinking smart. He's not building, and he's not playing smart at all. He's not putting himself in a good position, he's just playing risky, and this is something he could improve on. He could slow down and think and build and make sure that he's at the correct health. However, this is something that aimbot ace needs to improve on and that he needs to carry out in his next game. He now continues to loot, thinking that's the opportunity, but there are still opponents out there to fight him. He does take those tags, he does kill them, and now he decides to heal, as he's now put himself in a better position and he's killed off those opponents that were a threat to him and that were a risk to him. However, there is still a knocked opponent, which does mean if the player is knocked, some of his teammates are still alive. So now aimbot ace decides, instead of healing, he needs to go around and find these other players. Due to the use of visual sound effects, aimbot ace can now see another player. He then pushes them. However, the player boxes himself around, not realizing that aimbot ace in his box. Aimbot ace did not play smart here. He again wasn't building, he again wasn't staying away and staying smart. He just pushes and pushes, which is something he really needs to improve on his next match. He really needs to stay on top of having good positions and good high ground. Even piece control, building, editing, using all these resources that are available to him. Otherwise, aimbot ace is just going to get shots and shots. he does now leave the location, and as the mid-game does progress, Aimbot Ace does encounter more opponents. At 11:56, he does spot 4 opponents rotating towards this building. He tries to take tags on these players, which is good decision making because he does start to build and defend himself in this situation because the other opponents are now spraying and trying to take clear tags on Aimbot Ace. He now tries to take a side peek using the builds he has built. He does have nearly max materials. He does not need to loot or resource. He has nearly max ammo and nearly max builds. He now continues to heal up because the opponents are trying to push him. One of the opponents does go down the side. Aimbot Ace does know this because he does have visual sound effects on. These are a great way, and a lot of pros use this feature because it helps them know and hear where opponents are without having any audio. Its intended use was for deaf players. However, most pros now use this tool to help them because it can signal where opponents are if you do not have the game on max volume and the ability to hear their footsteps. The player now just tries to take tags on the opponents. He knocks one of them down, but one opponent is still alive. He hides behind this tree, making sure that he can still heal up. This way, he does not put himself in a risky position. He finishes the other opponents that he has killed, hoping that he can kill this last player, collect their loot, and continue onto the end game. Knowing that the player did knock down an opponent in this house, he now goes towards the house thinking that's going to be loot inside. However, the opponent must have moved somewhere else as he was knocked. During the knock stage, you are able to move, and he must have rotated to where his teammates would have been, meaning that there was no loot in the building for Aimbot Ace to take. Using visual sound effects, Aimbot Ace can see at 222 southwest. There is an opponent trying to shoot at him. The opponent doesn't take tags, however Aimbot Ace now wants to push this opponent, killing them. He hides behind trees trying to get a sneak, however the opponent has now tagged Aimbot Ace. He's now down to 166 health. Healing behind another tree, he spots the player. He tries to then shoot and take tags on the player. He misses his shots. He then sprays and knocks down the opponents. He does still know that the opponent does have teammates. However, Aimbot Ace does not focus on that. He focuses on a Star Wars bot that he does see in the distance. He tries to kill off the Star Wars bot. He does not do that successfully. He then sees where the opponents are and focuses on them. He does take a few tags from the bot. He finishes his opponent that he just killed. He's still trying to get tags. He looks down, he sees more opponents. He tries to shoot them. Aimbot Ace does not play smart here, he does not build. However, he now tries to take this wall, letting him edit. This is called peace control and is a good technique in Fortnite. He then takes the wall, heals up even though he doesn't need any because he's pretty much at max. He looks, he doesn't build above him, which means the opponent could easily take a shot on him if he's on the high ground. Aimbot Ace rotates, he does not see where the opponent is. However, he's just trying to stay out there clear and stay out of a risky situation. Instead of looking for more opponents, Aimbot Ace decides to start shooting at the Star Wars bots. He looks around his surroundings, and this is a very good technique as he is being very aware of himself, and this does help if there's any encounters of opponents or he can see something in distance, which will give him time to build and make good decision making to put him in a good position. The storm's coming towards him, and he does not need to take any unnecessary damage, so he tries to get into zone. Looking at the map, he can see where the zone is and he points it. This helps him find where the zone is quickly and efficiently. He sees in the distance that opponents are ziplining, opponents are moving, and opponents are shooting. He doesn't focus on this. His only intent and his only goal is to get into zone. He takes a motorbike. This is a quick way for him to get into zone. Getting off the bike, as he knows that getting through this bridge is going to slow him down. He knows that it's now a wrong decision as he now is taking unnecessary damage from the zone. He tries to build up, trying to stay on the high ground. He can just walk across or sprint, but that's not something that Aimbot Ace wants to do. He wants to avoid the ground as much as possible. Staying on the high ground is better and puts him in a better position throughout the game. He's heard lots of noises and he's not sure if there's any more opponents, so his best decision is to hide from other opponents. One thing that can be spotted here is that Aimbot Ace is staying around the zone. This is a really good thing to do in Fortnite, because staying around the zone helps players stay in a good position and avoid fights as much as possible. It's now the end game, and he's found himself in the top 10 players. He's done a good job of building and protecting himself throughout the game. He has made some bad mistakes. However, in this one instance, all he needs to do now is trying to survive to the end, not take unnecessary damage from the storm, not take random tags for opponents, and by doing this, his best choice is to stay around the circle instead of staying in the middle of the storm eye. At the moment, Aimbot Ace is still staying around the edge. He's staying on that high ground, trying to see if he can spot any players to get some easy tags. He doesn't, and he knows he now has to remove the zone. He does spot an opponent, however, he tries to start taking tags on that opponent. That opponent does not take any tags on Aimbot Ace, but he still hides as he needs to reload his gun. He does take tags on opponents, however, an opponent has just taken a tag on him, and he's now at 167 health. Those two teammates are now rotating the zone, and Aimbot Ace really needs to get the zone before he takes any more unnecessary damage. He tries to take high ground to spot the opponents. He does see them just around the corner. He does build up, putting him in a better position. He knows that high ground is one of the best ways and one of the best tactics in Fortnite. He does get shot down. He does start shooting. He kills one of the opponents, and he's now fighting the other. They're both dead, and he boxes up so that he doesn't take any more damage from other opponents. With just 6 opponents remaining and 21 kills, Southwest 213, Aimbot Ace does spot 2 teammates rotating into zone. He stays on the high ground, he stays in the middle of that storm eye. He is now in the best position possible of this match. He takes a few tags off these opponents. One thing that Aimbot Ace does continue to fail at, and that is building around him. He does spray and kill one of the opponents, however he does ending up with 53 health, and this is due to the fact that he's not building around him. This is one mistake that he keeps making, and hopefully in his next match this is some feedback that he could work on. Hopefully building around him and editing, using the resources that Fortnite provides, using the mechanics that are available. One poor technique that he is using is that he is camping. This is because he does not have a lot of health left because of his mistakes that he keeps making. He tries to heal up drinking these slurp bottles. An opponent tries to rush and push him, which is something that he should be doing to the opponent. However, he is not in a good position to do so. He sprays the opponent, finishes him with only 4 kids remaining and with 23 kills. Aimbot Ace is going to be a clear winner of this match if he continues to stay well on top and he continues to stay on the high ground and not get into risky fights. He spots 2 opponents. He spots one East 111 and he also spots one's West 256. He shoots the kid West 256, finishes him with only 1 kid remaining. Aimbot Ace sees him. He knows he's a clear winner. He can see that the opponent is out in the open and he's not good. He tries to take the high ground, stay on top of this, because he knows that if he does this, he's going to be the clear winner of this match. He sees the opponent. He tries to take a sneak attack. He stays on the high ground. He knows that the opponent has high health and he finishes with 1 shotgun headshot. He emotes with the victory. He has 26 eliminations on this match, and they show them at the insights of the end of the match, which he looks at as he can see his match total XP. Solid game. He made good decisions in the early game and he was able to get and stack 26 eliminations. However, there were some areas that he can improve on, such as decision making and building. Moving forward, it would be beneficial if he could work on these areas and continue to practice his gameplay. This concludes my VOD review. Thank you for turning up, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.